I've been thinking a lot about suffering recently, actually, and there's this nice little equation that I've been using of pain plus resistance equals suffering. And so, essentially, the pain I was feeling was abandonment, complete lack of everything that I once knew to be true and to be home. And the resistance to that pain created a lot of that suffering, and that suffering was, it came out in anarchy. I went through a really big anarchy phase, just causing chaos not only outwardly, but on my physical body. I was harming myself, I was cutting myself, getting in trouble at school all the time, and then later on just ditching school. And it was just a lot of emotions going on growing up as a pre-teenager and a teenager. So a lot of my suffering was just this this loneliness of having to perhaps take care of myself before I thought I needed to. And through that pain, I came to understand narcotics as something that was always going to be there consistently. They would always get the job done of bringing me comfort. When I was about 19, and that's when things started to really kind of spiral. I lost all sense of myself completely. The childhood home that I grew up in was taken by the bank, so my entire life was just sort of pulled right out. And so then I got really lost in a heavy 400, 500 milligram a day Oxycontin addiction for months, and eventually got out of that only to keep substituting. And 5 years after that was shooting heroin. And during college and a little bit afterwards, the suffering started shifting more on having the awareness of all the things I was trying to numb myself out from, and then the releasing process of that. I had a couple of psychedelic experiences that were really challenging for me to deal with, because it was getting me to look at that shadow side and getting me to look at all the issues I had with my parents and my family. And it was very challenging. And so then that was actually more inspiration to go further into the addiction. Yeah, so I discovered Ibogaine when I was 19 or 20 years old, and I was researching on the computer just for another psychedelic to discover, and I came across the word Ibogaine, and I thought, wow, that's a powerful name. And I looked into it, and all the experiences were very powerful, and I thought to myself, this is probably something I would really want to do. And I saw that it was handy for opioid addiction, and then that's when the real chime went off that this would probably be the way out for me. And I wasn't ready for it, though. I had a sense that I still had more, I guess you could say, more brick walls I needed to run into, slam my head into first. So I just put it on the back burner for a little while, and I went about my life. I went and continued living the selling drugs lifestyle and the whole thing, so I was still enjoying it. And then 5 years after that, after a whole string of events led me to shooting heroin and into my deep isolation and bringing a friend back from overdosing, and then me the next day overdosing myself, and just several other factors coming into play, I finally was like, well, there's this thing, Ibogaine, maybe I should finally give that a shot. And I started looking into it, and before I knew it, it was like everything just lined up real quick, and I was in Baja, Mexico at a treatment center. My withdrawals were gone very quickly, within 30 minutes, I'd say. And it was a pretty good detoxing process. It showed me a lot of insight on kind of how I'd gotten to the point that I'd gotten to, and even more importantly, it shed a lot of insight onto what I needed to continue to be better to myself and for the people around me. You know, it really gave me a strong concept of I don't need to go and apologize to people for who I am. My true loved ones will accept me no matter what. I just need to be a better person. I just need to not hurt the people I love, push them away. I need to accept them, embrace them, and embody my own self-love. And then after that primary experience, probably 24, 32 hours later, I walked outside, and the sunlight had hit me, and it was just the first time I genuinely felt good without a chemical in 12 years or something like that. And I just completely broke down in tears. It was so impactful, and yeah, it was absolutely beautiful to feel that way finally after so long. Yeah, and then I quickly went up to the guy who owned the place and asked, how can I stay? What can I do to help out? And he told me to go integrate for a couple of years, and so I spent about another week there, and then yeah, I left, and with about $700 and a station wagon full of stuff, I moved across the country and slept on my brother's floor for a little while and got a job, and spent about 2 years in Colorado just learning a little bit more of life before I was like, I don't want to live in this society. Like, I know I'm passionate about Ibogaine, so that's what I want to work towards, and so I made it happen. It was a circle at first, and it formed in the middle of my vision, and then it was filled with little squiggly lines and other circles. And then a needle came in and poked it and injected something into it, and then came out, and then the circle dissolved. And right after that, a tube kind of came in the side of my vision and popped out and left, and I physically reacted to it. I jerked, and my intuition just said, you're just reborn right there. Now, a few years later, after having taken the medicine a couple of more times, I have a daily routine essentially where I'm still up with the sun now, and I have a brief gratitude session right off the bat of just being grateful for being alive again, to enjoy this gift that we're given. I mean, literally everything we have is right here for us. And so I start right off the bat with that, do a little stretching, and then I jump right into a little bit of a yoga routine and running and exercise, and just getting, setting my energy for the day before I dive into everyone else's energy in the world. So it's really genuinely important for me, for being good to myself, is not getting mixed up in everyone else's energy first, making sure that I have my own set energy. And then from there, a healthy diet, and being there to help other people, but not allowing that for me to get drained by that. Yeah, it was setting boundaries up was a big lesson for me with the work that I do. I guess a good way to put it is I now see the magic and the beauty in the world. And without having that contrast, that wouldn't have been there, you know. I mean, the picture I have of life is so much more grand now because of that deep suffering that I went through. And I'm able to be more of a beacon of light for those who are still going through it and who are working to transform out of it, because it's something where it's like, okay, it's possible. Like, I know now that essentially, my belief anyway, anything can be done. And so that's something that I find very strongly as a message I want to give people, is that they can do it. And they can come out and actually love and enjoy their lives and live their passions, and not have to live for other people or for drugs or any of it. And yeah, it took all that turmoil, all that pain to get there.